All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about a massive, seismic shift happening in the world of industrial robotics. The 2025 update to the ISO 10-2018-2 safety standard, well, it's not just some tiny revision. Nope. It's a complete rewrite of the rulebook for how we, humans, work alongside machines. So let me ask you something, and it gets right to the point. That collaborative robot you have, your cobot, could it actually be making your whole setup non-compliant? You might be surprised by the answer because it is definitely not a simple yes or no. Okay, so before we can really get what's changing, we've got to look back, right? Let's talk about the old safety rules, the challenges they created, and honestly, why they just don't cut it anymore in today's workplace. Think about the old way, the past, you see here. Robots were stuck in cages, right? Big physical barriers, doing the same boring, predictable thing over and over. Safety was, well, it was pretty simple. But now, look at the present. That's our world. People and robots are working shoulder to shoulder, sharing space, doing these incredibly complex, interactive jobs. This new world demands constant, dynamic safety monitoring. Those old school static risk assessments, they just can't keep up. No way. And that's exactly why this new standard is so important. The 2025 edition of ISO 10218-2, this is our new blueprint. It's built from the ground up to tackle these modern problems and really to make sure the future of humans and robots working together is a safe one. I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly explains why we even need this update. Think about it. Technology, especially in robotics, moves at lightning speed. By the time we write a rule and make it a standard, the tech has already moved on. The rules are always playing catch-up. Okay, and that leads us to what is, without a doubt, the single biggest change in this entire standard. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from our chat today, make it this. Everything is shifting to an application-first mindset. And you can see that shift perfectly right here. Back in 2011, the old standard was laser-focused on just the robot system. The arm and maybe the tool on the end of it, that's it. But now, in 2025, we're zooming way out. The new standard forces us to look at the whole picture, the entire application. That means the robot, yeah? But also the part it's working on, the job it's actually doing, and every other piece of equipment that's part of the process. So let's be super clear about this new term, because it's important. A robot application is now officially the whole shebang. It isn't just the robot anymore. It's the robot in context. It's the what it's doing, the how it's doing it, and all the stuff around it that makes it work. This isn't a small tweak. This is a huge expansion of what we have to think about. Now, on top of that, the new standard actually simplifies things in a really helpful way. It brings in this new, much clearer classification system. You can see it here. Robots are now basically split into two groups, Class I and Class II. And it's all based on these simple, clear-cut numbers for mass, force, and speed. This gets rid of a ton of confusion and makes those first safety checks so much easier. And here's another huge one, cybersecurity. For the very first time, it is officially baked right into the robot safety standard. Let that sink in. A cyber risk is now officially a safety risk. This means you now have to do a threat assessment. You have to protect your systems from hacking and malicious code. This is a massive and frankly long overdue step into the 21st century for robot safety. All right, now, you might want to brace yourselves for this next part, because we're about to get to the most controversial and maybe the most important piece of this entire update. This is a statement that's going to completely change the way you talk about your robots. You heard that right. As far as this new international standard is concerned, the term cobot is dead, gone. It no longer exists in the official language of safety. And from its ashes, a new idea rises. We don't talk about collaborative robots anymore. We talk about collaborative applications. So why the big change? Here's the key. The standard got rid of the word cobot because, honestly, it was misleading. No robot is born safe or collaborative. It's just a machine. It's the task, the application, that defines the risk. You could have a huge, powerful industrial robot that's perfectly safe in a collaborative task, but you could also have a tiny little cobot doing something really dangerous, like handling a sharp blade. It was never about the robot. It's always been about the application. Okay, so that's the big picture. We've talked about the philosophy, but now let's get down to brass tacks. What does all this application-first thinking actually mean for you, for the people who have to deal with this stuff every single day? Well, if you're a system integrator, listen up, because your world just got a whole lot bigger. Your job isn't just to drop off a robot anymore. You are now on the hook for validating the entire application. That means more stringent risk assessments, dealing with cybersecurity compliance, and, yes, a mountain of new documentation. The bar for what's considered a good integration has just been raised, a lot. And what about end users, the folks who actually own and use the equipment? Well, for you, compliance is no longer a one-and-done deal at checkout. You are now responsible for the safety of that cell for its entire lifespan. You have to be able to justify why a person is working alongside a robot. And you own the cybersecurity strategy. The buck stops with you. And last but not least, for all you safety professionals out there, your role has never been more critical. You're going to need a much deeper, more technical skill set to sign off on these systems. We're talking about everything from applying biomechanical injury data to digging into complex cyber threats. Your world just got way more complex. So this really brings it all together, doesn't it? For integrators, the quality bar is way higher. For end users, accountability is now a lifelong commitment. And for safety pros, the job is just bigger and more holistic. The new reality is that safety isn't just one person's job, it's a shared, continuous responsibility that touches every single part of the application. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about, doesn't it? This 2025 standard, it's a huge leap forward for sure. But technology isn't stopping. So as these applications get smarter and more autonomous, the real challenge is, how do we make sure our rules keep up? How do we stay safe in a future that's changing faster than ever? It's something we all need to think about. Thanks so much for diving into this with me today.